Welcome to C.Tube, where ancient Chinese strategy meets modern life. Through timeless tales of power, wisdom, and intrigue, we decode the art of decision-making, self-awareness, and navigating the complexities of career and life. Let history be your greatest teacher. In today's story, we journey back to the late Eastern Han Dynasty, where defiance against power clashed with the demands of survival, and arrogance turned into a fatal gamble. More than just a tale of talent and humiliation, this is a story about pride, restraint, and the price of confronting authority too directly. Let's step into the moment and see what it reveals about us today. Part 1. The Rise of Arrogance and the Clash with Power. Mi Hun was known for his unrestrained tongue and overwhelming pride. He seemed to look down on the world, regarding no one as his equal, except for Conrong, with whom he shared mutual admiration. He loved to judge the worth of others, dismissing court officials as nothing more than wine sacks and rice bags. Among all the people under heaven, he once declared, only two are worth my attention, Conrong and Yang Su. Eager to prove his talents, Mi Hun submitted his political essays to the Han Emperor, hoping to be recognized as a national treasure and entrusted with responsibility. But the real power of the court lay firmly in the hands of Chancellor Cao. Mi Hun's ambitions had no room to grow. Conrong recommended him more than once, yet Cao remained unmoved. This man writes poems well enough, he remarked, but governing a state is not the work of one who can merely craft fine verses. When pressed again, Cao sneered, let him be a drum officer. That is all he is fit for. Part 2. The Drum, the Insult, and the Bitter End. Cao disliked Mi Hun's arrogance and sought to humiliate him. At a grand banquet, the drummers stood in their proper attire, but Mi Hun appeared in shabby clothes. Ordered to change, he defiantly stripped off his garments in front of the assembled officials and slowly put on the drummer's robe. Then he seized the drumsticks and began to play. The beat grew faster, louder, more forceful, each strike resounding with his indignation. The ministers trembled, yet Cao only laughed. I wished to shame him, but he has shamed me instead. Conrong later apologized on his friend's behalf, but Cao, amused, chose not to punish him. Instead, he arranged another banquet. Mi Hun came dressed in plain cloth, carrying a wooden stick. Before all, he lashed out in a torrent of abuse against the mighty chancellor, then stormed away. Kill him, Cao's attendants urged. No, Cao replied. He is famed across the realm. I will not be remembered as the man who killed a talent. Thus, Cao dispatched Mi Hun to Liu Biao in Jinzhou. Yet Liu Biao, a scholar himself, soon tired of Mi Hun's arrogance and passed him on to Huanzu, governor of Jiangxia. At first, Huanzu respected him, but Mi Hun could not restrain his scorn, mocking and insulting at every turn. Finally, Huanzu's patience broke, and under the pretext of an offense, he ordered Mi Hun's execution. Now, let's break it down into the key takeaways you won't want to forget. Reading Mi Hun's fate, we cannot help but feel both sympathy and regret. His death was undeniably tragic, yet in many ways, the bitter cup was one he brewed for himself. From a broader perspective, he was not entirely wrong. The chancellor of the realm held power in the emperor's name, but in truth, he overshadowed the throne itself. Many were dissatisfied. Not just this outspoken figure, but here lies the complexity. The chancellor had not yet seized the throne, nor did he intend to do so immediately. He was also contributing to the stability of the state. In such circumstances, wisdom would have called for subtle resistance and careful maneuvering, rather than charging headlong into the blade. By colliding so directly, he sacrificed his life without gaining anything in return. Yet the problem ran deeper. His defiance was real, but much of it sprang from personal frustration and unchecked arrogance. Even if his adversary had no ambition for the throne, he would have found other reasons to unleash his scorn. When he later encountered regional leaders who posed no true threat to the dynasty and even stood against the chancellor, he dismissed them just as harshly. This reveals that his rebellion was less about principle and more about pride. He cared less for the fate of the dynasty than for the freedom of his own indulgence. For such a temperament, literature and art could have been his natural stage, where individuality might shine. But in politics, even under a leader famed for tolerance, he would have struggled to survive. His downfall was therefore not an accident, but the inevitable outcome of a spirit too proud and a path too reckless. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into history and insight, don't forget to subscribe for more stories that reveal the wisdom behind the ages.